Quiet luxury.
Quiet luxury.
Quiet luxury.
Quiet luxury.
Quiet luxury is not only one of the hottest trends currently.
Quiet luxury has been one of the biggest fashion trends of 2023, and dressing this way can be a lot easier if you know where to look. And that's why in today's video I want to go over the best brands for the quiet luxury look for pretty much any budget. So we're starting with some more expensive options first, and then we're slowly moving to the affordable brands, but don't skip over the expensive ones yet, simply because many of them are great for secondhand items, so you might want to take note of that. There's still a couple of brands, even though they are quiet luxury, that didn't make the cut, simply because when you buy them new they are extremely expensive, and even when you buy them secondhand, they are still extremely expensive. For example, Brunello Cucinelli. The clothes are very nice and probably really good quality too, but look at this coat for example. It's right now on sale. The regular price is $8,000. Right now you can get it for the low price of $5,600. If you can afford this coat, then hats off to you, but it didn't really make the cut in this list simply because even if you buy a second-hand Brunello Cucinelli, it's still extremely expensive. There's going to be a lot of Italian brands on the list, so if I butcher the names and I offend anybody, then I apologize in advance. But let's start with brand number one. The first brand on the list is Zegna, and yes, I know, very expensive, but amazing for secondhand clothing. And this brand is an old Italian company that was founded in 1910, and it started out first as a fabric mill because they produced their own fabric, and later on they switched to producing also high quality clothes as well. And nowadays you can find them in pretty much any major city in the world, and it's definitely one of the brands that I like the most. And if I had the money, I would also buy it new, but luckily because the brand has been around for so long, this is one of the brands that is really good for secondhand clothing. For example, if we look at Vinted, this is a secondhand marketplace. You can already find the first pant from Zegna, 20 euros, which is roughly $25. A jacket from Zegna. If you would go more into detail, you would find more different and more interesting items, but this is just the first page. This just goes to show you that because the company has been around for so long, it's amazing for secondhand. I personally also own a couple of clothes from Zegna. I bought a couple of ties secondhand from them, and I also have a couple of pairs from Zegna, and they are extremely comfortable. Next up on the list we have another very famous Italian fashion brand called Brioni, which was founded in 1945 in Italy. And again, all of their clothes are made in Italy, they have amazing quality, and this company is mostly famous for their suits, but they also produce of course a lot of other clothes, and all of them in exceptional quality and of course in the end with very high prices as well. For example, if we look at their knitwear, you can see that some of their sweaters are around $1,000 normally or around $2,000 normally, so it's definitely not a cheap brand at all. And this company is also chosen a lot by celebrities. For example, Tom Cruise wears Brioni suits sometimes, and it's one of the companies, again, because it's been around for so long, you can find clothes very well at different second-hand markets or in thrift stores for a pretty decent price. If we go, for example, on Vinted, then you can find some pants for 50 euros, 70 euros, 50 euros again, some shirt for 80 euros. Of course, 80 euros for a shirt is not like the cheapest, but it's an amazing quality in the end as well. You get some jeans from this company as well, but this is just the first results when we type it in. I can also recommend you, if you have a couple of brands, for example, after the video I will put them into the description, then I would recommend you to take all of the more expensive options, and then you can look through all of them together, which will save you a little bit of time, because if you go brand by brand, it's going to take a lot of time going through a website like Vinted. Next up on the list we have another company from Italy called Canali. This company was founded in 1934, and it's mostly known for their suits, because Canali suits are well known all over the world, but of course they also produce a lot of other different garments, and all of them in exceptional quality as well. And again, if you buy their clothes new, of course, the quality is exceptional, but also the price is quite high. So the shirts are 300 euros. The coat here is 1,500 euros. The suit is 1,500 euros as well. But again, if we go to a second-hand shop, you can get some really good deals on this brand. For example, here we have a pant from Canali for 28 euros. We have a shirt from Canali for 15 euros. We have a sports coat for 69 euros. And I personally also bought a pair of jeans from Canali that was pretty much almost new. I think the person wore them maybe once or twice before. And they are extremely comfortable. I only spent 50 euros for it. If I would buy it new, it's probably around 700, 800 euros, I guess. So I'm pretty happy with the deal that I made. Next up, we have Boglioli. This one is another Italian company founded in 1974. So a little bit newer than the others, but still, that's quite a long time for a company to exist. And for that reason, again, it's a great choice to find secondhand items as well. I ordered a couple of things in the past and I tried them on, and the quality was exceptional. Unfortunately, I didn't find anything that fit me, so I had to return them. In Germany, we have the luxury to return secondhand items depending on which store you buy them from. But if you buy the clothes new from the company, of course, again, it's quite pricey, simply because, of course, the fabrics are really nice. They're made in Italy. For example, we have here a cashmere and cotton long sleeve polo for 420 euros and a suit for 1,400 euros. In my opinion, like with the other brands that came before this is still a good value for the money that you get. It's pretty pricey, of course, but you get some high quality clothes that are made in Italy with good fabrics. So if you have the money, then I would say go for it. Or if you don't have the money, then just put it on your list of brands for your secondhand shopping. Next up, we have another Italian company called Zileri. This one was founded in 1980 and again, similar to the other ones, made in Italy, high quality fabrics, and that's why it comes with a pretty hefty price tag as well. For example, if you look at the turtlenecks, the ones in wool and alpaca are 500 euros. Of course, they're going to be very, very cozy, but for most of us, that's quite a lot of money. But again, because the company has been around for more than 40 years, if you go on secondhand shops, for example, you can find some pretty good deals again. For example, we have a chino here for 10 euros. We have another jeans here for 3 euros. Not sure about the quality on this one, but you would have to take a closer look, of course. And again, some sport jackets for 8 euros, some other sports jackets for 100 or 50 euros. And I personally also tried on a couple of Zileri sports jackets from Vinted before. And again, I didn't find anything that fit me to my body type, but the quality was amazing. So if you find something that fits you, then definitely go for it. Now we're moving from the really, really pricey companies to slightly more affordable. And the first company on the list is Luca Faloni. This is the company that, when I think about quiet luxury, it always comes to mind, simply because all of the clothes that they make and the lookbooks that they have, the social media presence, it looks so well put together. It's very minimal. You cannot see any logo. You can only see that the quality of the clothes is really high and it fits together very, very well. This is one of those companies, of course, where the quality is going to be fantastic again. It's made in Italy. You have really, really high quality fabrics with a high price tag, of course, but it's going to be lower than the ones from the previous companies. For example, if you look at the chinos right here, they are not cheap for $200, but compared to other brands for $5, $6, maybe even $7 or $800, it's definitely a lot cheaper. And the same is true for the linen shirts, $200, $185. Definitely not a cheap linen shirts, but they look amazing, and it's definitely going to be a lot cheaper than other companies for 3, 4, or maybe 500 euros. And I think all of their clothes just look fantastic. In this case, because it's a new company, because it was founded in 2014, it's going to be more difficult to find it on the secondhand market. For example, on Vinted, I couldn't find anything for Luca Faloni. Next up, and slightly cheaper than Luca Faloni, we have another company that I personally always think of when I think of quiet luxury, simply because everything that they make, in my opinion, just looks amazing, and that's Pini Parma. It's another Italian company with some really beautiful and timeless collections, and because this is a more modern company as well, it's going to be more tricky to find this on the secondhand market. But if you have the money, this is one of the brands that I can definitely recommend. Because of the quality that you get, this is actually a pretty good value for the price. Next up, we have the first non-Italian brand, and it's an American classic, and of course it's going to be Ralph Lauren. This one is the most famous for the Ivy League or the old money look. It was founded in 1967 by Ralph Lauren. He started first with ties, but then he moved later into menswear. But this is one of the brands, in my opinion, that for this list is a little bit controversial, because for example, with all of the brands before, you get really high quality and very minimalist clothing for the price. But with Ralph Lauren, it's a little bit of a hit and miss. In the past, I think they had really, really high quality for sure. Nowadays, unfortunately, the problem is that the logo tends to become bigger and bigger. It becomes more colorful as well, more loud. And if we go to their clothes, for example, we go to their website and we have here a code for roughly around $1,000, regular price even $1,400. And for something like this, I think you would expect it to be completely made from wool. But if you go to the details, then you can see that only 75% is wool, 25% is from polyamide, which in my opinion is fine for some cheaper options. But if you're gonna spend $1,000 on a coat, I think you expect some high quality wool, of course. And that's why I can recommend the Italian companies for sure, especially for new or secondhand. With Ralph Lauren, it's a little bit of a hit and miss. Because for example, if we look around here, it's sometimes very, very colorful. And you can see the logo is very, very big. I mean, it gets bigger and bigger every year. And probably this is also made with polyester sometime as well. Some items here and there, for example, their sweaters can be very nice. The same goes for some of their suits, sports jackets, also the trousers. So this is one of the companies where you definitely have to look around. Maybe you get something as well on a sale. And of course, because it's such an international company and it's been around for such a long time, this one is another one that's great for secondhand for the quiet luxury look. For example, if we go on Vinted again, then you can see we have some button-down shirts for 12 euros. We have a linen shirt here for 15 euros. And in this case, of course, again, there's a logo, but it's quite small. I think this could still be considered quiet quite luxury for sure. And some of their sweaters are pretty nice as well. And here again, we have a button-down shirt from Ralph Lauren for €8 and some trousers for €10. The main problem is that there's always going to be a logo on pretty much all of the clothes, but sometimes you can find items with a very small logo, and usually on the trousers, you don't find it at all. So this is still a brand that is definitely great for secondhand and also for new items, and also sometimes for newer items. For example, I really like their cable knit sweaters, even though I think it would be nicer without the logo. But for example, here for secondhand for €49, I think you can't really complain. With the next company, we're still staying in America, and this is probably the oldest company on the list because it was founded in 1818. And of course, we're talking about Brooks Brothers. This is one of those companies again that's almost synonymous with the old money look, and they're especially famous for their Oxford button-down color shirts, which are very nice. But of course, they also have a lot of other beautiful clothes. And as a company, they had a pretty big impact on men's fashion and especially on American menswear. And nowadays, they still produce some really nice garments for a decent price. And because the company has been around for almost 200 years, if you look at the secondhand market, especially in North America, you will definitely find a lot of really, really good deals. In Europe, it's a little bit more tricky to find, but still, if I go on Vinted, for example, I found this beautiful suede coat here. Something like this, if you buy it new, it's definitely going to be close to around $1,000, maybe around $700 to $800 because it's completely made from suede leather. But here you get it for $120, and this is just one of the items that I found. If you're in America, you can find Brooks Brothers secondhand items for a very, very low price. You can probably find some shirts for around $5 or $10. And because the company usually doesn't feature much of a logo, this is perfect for the quiet luxury look. Next up, we have Suit Supply, which is again another more modern company. And this time, it's not from Italy, it's not from America, but it's from the Netherlands. And it was actually founded by a Dutch student during his university studies. And nowadays, it's a super international brand. They are in many different countries, many different cities. And what made them famous pretty much is that their cuts are really nice. The suits have a very wide lapel. Pretty much everything that they put out looks amazing. And in the end, you get a high quality garment for a decent price. And even though the clothes are made in China, the quality is still very good. And with Suit Supply, if you look at the clothes, you can just see that they are very elegant, very subtle. They don't feature a logo, but just by looking at them, you can tell that the quality is great and they look very luxurious. And even though it's a more modern brand, simply because it's so international nowadays, it's still very good for secondhand shopping. For example, on Vinted again, we can see a Suit Supply linen shirt for €27. We can see some wool trousers for €50, a shirt for €20, which is all a pretty fair price in my opinion. And because they usually choose some neutral colors, this is gonna fit very well for the quiet luxury look. Next up on the list, we have Boggi Milano. This is another Italian company founded in 1939. Again, 100% made in Italy with some high quality fabrics. And that means, of course, the items also cost quite some money, but they're also very minimal and very beautiful. For example, this cable knit sweater here is €370. It's a beautiful sweater, but quite expensive as well. Even though, of course, this kind of item is going to last you a very long time. So if you have the money, I would definitely recommend you to invest it in something like this. But this brand is great for secondhand clothing. If we go again to Vinted, for example, we can see a shirt for €7. We see a pair of jeans for €10. Pair of trousers for €7 as well, and a sweater for €27. So definitely very affordable if you buy it secondhand. And again, it's a very minimal company, no logo, very timeless pieces, and definitely very elegant and quite luxury. Next up, we have Natalino. This company is based in the UK, but they produce in Italy, and they make some pretty nice looking clothes for a decent price for the quality that you get. I bought a couple of their items on the Black Friday sale as well. For example, I bought a linen sports jacket and I bought a seersucker shirt that was 50 or 60% off. So even though the regular price is already pretty alright, I think this is around $400, $500 for a sports jacket that is made in Italy with high quality fabrics. If you go on their sales page, you can find pretty much the same item for 50% off. For example, if I go here, we have a linen sports jacket for 60% off, 6,500 baht is roughly, I think, around $200 or $190. So definitely a good price for a high quality sports jacket. And the same is true here in this case for their shirts. This one is 50% off for the seersucker shirts. I think 2,000 baht is again roughly around $55. And for a high quality shirt, that's definitely a good price. And this company is best for their sports jackets, their shirts and their trousers. They also have a couple of knitwear options as well, but I think their main focus is definitely on the suits and the sports jackets. The next company is the first Canadian company, and that's Spier and Mackay. And this is one of those companies that's great for pretty much anything, especially if you want to buy some something new, you don't want to buy something secondhand, but you're still on a little bit more of a budget, because this is somewhere between like the expensive brands and somewhere between the budget-friendly options, because you do get some better fabrics for sure. You get some 100% wool sweaters, for example, but you don't pay around $500. You maybe pay around $100. And on top of that, they always have a lot of sales going on as well. So you might be able to get, for example, a safari jacket for around $150 if they are on sale. But with this price point, of course, it's not going to be on the same level of quality as, for example, Pini Parma or any of the other Italian brands. But for the price that you get, it's still a good value for sure. On their Black Friday sale, I actually bought a cable knit turtleneck sweater from them, and also this puffer vest, and I actually really like the quality. I think the clothes look great. I also got 2 of their polo shirts, the ones with the button down look, and they fit really, really well. And I think for the price that you pay for the polo shirts, I think roughly around $40 to $50, this is definitely a really, really high quality polo shirt. They also have some really good looking pants. They have some nice coats, but the coats are going to be a bit more expensive, so expect to pay around $400 or $500 for the coats. Next up, if you want to go the custom route and you want to make your own clothes for roughly around the same price range as some of the other brands, especially more of the Western brands, then you can also go to brands like Hockerty or Indochino, because you can, for example, design your own coat. They start at around $400 for the cheaper fabrics, and they go up to $700. So it's in a similar price range as some of the other companies, but you can make it fully your own. You can customize it in any way you want. And in this way, you're going to get something that's customized for your body, and it's going to look very unique in the end. Next up on the list, and definitely one of the more affordable options, and that's Charles Tyrwhitt. I've actually made a couple of videos on Charles Tyrwhitt on this channel, where I compare the different shirts, for example, and they have a lot of sales all the time. And if you buy them on sale, then you can get some linen shirts or some button-down shirts that look very elegant, very classy. They have no logo on it. You can get them for a very low price. I think the lowest is roughly around $30 or $40, and they fit really well. They're very comfortable. I think for the price point, definitely a great company. They also have a lot of other basic and minimal items such as chinos, sports jackets, or some accessories as well, but I haven't really tried any of those. So I can only recommend you the shirts at this point, because I think for the price point, this is definitely a really good value for the money. Next up, we have Hackett London, and this is one of those companies that's, again, great for secondhand. They're somewhere in the lower mid-price range, because if you look at the sweaters, for example, they're around 140, 150 euros. This one is a little bit more expensive because it's from wool and cashmere, but if you buy them in secondhand, it's going to be quite cheap, actually. This company is quite minimal again, so it's pretty good for your basics. And I personally bought a couple of chinos, and I bought a sports jacket from Hackett London. I bought them secondhand as well, and they were quite cheap. And they also have some very unique items, for example, like this jacket, which is a very beautiful suede leather jacket. And of course, something like this is going to cost you quite a bit of money because it's expensive to produce. This one costs around 1,000 euros. But then again, if I go on Vinted, for example, you get some Hockerty shirts for 5 euros. You get a blazer for 90 euros, shirts for 10 euros. You have a pea coat here for around 100 euros. So this is one of the brands that's great to keep on your list for secondhand shopping. Now we're starting to move to the more affordable options for sure. And the next company on the list is Banana Republic, because they are pretty good for some basic pieces. And as a quick side story, I worked at Banana Republic in Vancouver, Canada. After I graduated high school in Germany, I went to Canada for 1 year, and one of my jobs there was at Banana Republic as a salesperson. And this was one of my first contacts to clothing, and it was also one of the first times, I think, in my life that I wore a chino. And while working at Banana Republic, you get some really good employee discounts. And on top of that, you also got some Christmas discounts as well. So I actually bought a lot of items while I was working there. And one of the wool cardigans that I bought more than 9 years ago, I still have it to this day. And I do like to wear it on travel days, just because it's easy to take off and it's very comfortable. Next up, we have another company at a similar price point, and that's Massimo Dutti. Not everything that they put out looks great, but they do have a couple of items that look very nice and also quite unique. And this is also one of those companies, again, where you can find items on the secondhand market for a very low price, because you can get some of the essential pieces like sweaters or chinos from Massimo Dutti on a secondhand market for around $10 to $20. And if you go to the website, the price for the chinos, for example, is around 60 euros. So if you're on a bit of a budget, but you want something new, then Massimo Dutti can be a great brand for sure. Or if you want to make some really good savings, then look on the secondhand market. And here you see like an overshirt for 4 euros. We have a jacket here for 3 euros. We have a pair of trousers for 5 euros, 5 euros, a pair of jeans for 8 euros. So this is one of those brands because it's pretty cheap to begin with. If you buy it secondhand, it's going to be extremely cheap. We have here a cardigan for 5 euros as well. So if you buy this secondhand, you can pretty much build an entire basic wardrobe for less than $200 simply by buying a couple of pants, couple of shirts, couple of sweaters, and it's going to be less than $150 or $200 for sure. And if you go this route and you build a nice basic and simple wardrobe, then you have a little bit of money left, for example, for the other brands that I mentioned at the beginning, to buy a couple of items that look a little bit more unique. So you have all of your set pieces, for example, from Massimo Dutti or from companies like Uniqlo or Banana Republic, from a company like Zegna secondhand, or also from Luca Faloni, something like this, then it's going to look very unique and very well put together. Next up on the list we have a Swedish company called John Henric, and this is one of the companies that I have never tried myself, and you probably shouldn't expect the highest quality again, because this is a very affordable brand. If you look, for example, here at the sweaters, merino sweater for $50, we have a turtleneck for $60, or this pair of trousers for $80. It's quite cheap, so I wouldn't expect the highest quality. But again, if you're on a tight budget, you want to buy something new that looks nice, that looks decent, then this is probably a nice brand to try as well. And if you have any experience with this brand, let me know in the comments below, because I've never tried it myself and would be interested to hear about your experience. Next up on the list, we have an Italian company called Gutteridge. They are based in Italy, but they produce in China. And this is another company that's quite affordable, especially if you want to buy something new. You don't want to buy something secondhand, but you want something that's slightly more unique, because they do have, for example, some pants with side adjusters and pleats. Then this is an interesting company for sure, because, for example, if you go on their website, you go to their outlet, and they always have some sale for sure. You can get some turtlenecks, for example, for $50 or $70 right here. They have some nice polo sweaters. Everything looks quite nice. Of course, the quality is not the best, but for this price point, you also shouldn't expect the highest quality. But if you want something that looks more different and unique than other companies, then I can recommend this company for sure. For example, this turtleneck sweater here, this cabinet sweater, looks quite nice. I personally also ordered ones from Gutteridge, and the only thing that I kept in the end was a chino pants and a linen safari jacket, because the safari jacket was only 50 euros, and for the price it was pretty alright. It was 100% linen, and the chino was the same. I think it was around 40 euros, and for the price it was pretty alright. The thing you have to keep in mind is that you have to pay for the return if you want to return something. So even though it might be cheap, if you have to return something and if you have to exchange something, in the end it might actually get a little bit more pricey. And then the final company on the list is going to be Uniqlo. This is something that maybe a lot of you already expected, because many people, when they think of quiet luxury, especially for budget quiet luxury, they think of Uniqlo. In my opinion, I think Uniqlo can be great for very basic pieces, for example, for t-shirts, maybe for chinos, because with Uniqlo you can create a pretty clean looking and minimal wardrobe for a very low price. But keep in mind that there's not going to be many things that's going to stand out a little bit. So if you want to buy a lot of things from Uniqlo, then I definitely recommend you to get something from one of the other companies in the beginning, maybe secondhand, again, like a coat or a nice looking pair of shoes or something like this, something that's going to set the entire outfit a little bit more apart. I personally buy my t-shirts from Uniqlo, and maybe sometimes also polo shirts or shorts. So those were all of the companies that I put on the list, and of course I cannot cover every company in the world that fits this style. So if there's any company that you think I should have included in the list, or maybe any secret company from your country that you know about, please put it in the comments below so others can find it as well. Thank you for sticking with me and watching to this point. If you liked the video, please hit the subscribe button, and see you in the next video.